I got up in the morning, as I usually do, quite early, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and went to the kitchen, as I usually do, got a cup of coffee, and went in the bathroom to start shaving and getting ready to go to work. And I collapsed and passed out on the floor. Well, my first experience with stroke was devastating, to say the least, because you're in a position, like I lost the use of my left arm, my left leg. I couldn't do most of the things I could do on a daily basis, and I didn't know what I could and could not do because I was afraid to attempt some of them.
I had a job. I had 5 children to look after. Hey, I even had a husband. All of that changed with MS.
Today, there are over 750,000 Canadians with neuromuscular disabilities. Many people with Parkinson's disease and multiple sclerosis, survivors of stroke and acquired brain injuries, have found renewed independence thanks to the Ontario March of Dimes Conductive Education program.
In the beginning, it was nothing. It was problems with bladder, and it was occasionally I'd stumble. But it wasn't anything too much. I guess about 3 years after I was diagnosed, I started having tingling in my legs and then in my fingers. It got to the point where walking, I started off walking only with a cane. Then I had to go to a walker, and then finally to the wheelchair.
As the largest provider of programs and services for Ontarians, regardless of their disability, Ontario March of Dimes has been promoting independence for adults with physical disabilities since 1951. Always seeking better ways to help people with physical disabilities, Ontario March of Dimes brought conductive education to Canada nearly a decade ago. While relatively new to Canada, conductive education was developed over 50 years ago and is available today in over 30 countries around the globe. In Israel, Australia, the United States, and Britain, it is supported by education ministries, public schools, and universities. But what is conductive education?
Conductive education is a system of education that's designed to help children and adults with movement problems that are neurologically based overcome some of these difficulties through a lot of hard work and through learning. Conductive education affects participants in numerous ways. Most often we hear about physical gains and physical benefits, but the most important is a change in attitude towards themselves and towards disabilities. We encourage people to think of their difficulties as problems to be solved instead of difficulties to be coped with.
I walked into the door as if I belonged. Everybody was helpful, everybody was courteous. Information was something that was accessible. I had no feeling of being in a place that I shouldn't have been.
Through well-structured activities, conductive education participants can regain significant mobility. Participants in conductive education not only relearn motor skills thought beyond their reach, but they regain a sense of independence and self-reliance.
I didn't need to have someone around to help me do what I have to do. I could do it on my own. And that's it. When you can feel like that, I mean, when you have it taken away from you and you're all of a sudden a bump on a log somewhere, and then all of a sudden this independence comes back and the confidence is incredible. And I got all of that through Ontario March of Dimes.
A conductor is a specialized educator who helps participants bring out the best in themselves by facilitating their ability to problem solve and their ability to use what they have in the most efficient and natural way.
Or like to your knees and then to the side, then as opposed to like flat
In conductive education, we work with people with a number of different conditions. However, within each condition, each individual is different. So we ask people to set aims, and we put groups together based on each individual's aims, and also based on what we feel the individual needs most. We provide a positive, working, supportive group environment where the participants are empowered because they're providing their own solutions for themselves. We also show them each other and themselves in a very positive light where they're seeing themselves at their best and working together towards a common end.
Prior to the conductive education program, the impact the MS had on me was really quite severe because the physical exertion required from me was very heavy. Deb needed help with almost everything that she did, and because she relied on me so much, I would end up with bruises and cuts and that sort of thing. All of that went away.
I was able to start renewing experiences with people, where before I just hid in a closet. I was terrible.
Conductive education not only deals with physical disability, but takes into account the emotional impact, namely the loss of self-confidence and social isolation.
Prior to conductive education, we found he was very despondent at times. Depression was a big factor. Since taking conductive education, I find he's far more positive. He's got just a far more positive attitude about everything, right?
Yeah,
and trying things.
When I come home on Thursday, I'm all hyped up, because, I'm really excited about what I just did and thinking that it's going to improve that much more. And I'm practicing every night, like doing something that I did that day.
I think I can speak for about 15 people in Barrie who took the conductive education last year at the March of Dimes, and each and every one of them were extremely positive. They have all made improvements. They are all just very positive, right?
Like the two conductors, they're outstanding. Is all I can say about them. They just made the whole sessions enjoyable. Like, they're very persuasive in a nice way. They don't tell you to do something, they suggest that you do it, and
They make you do it.
well, there's no such thing as I can't do it, because
That leaves.
that word is not
That
in
leaves,
the
doesn't
vocabulary.
it? If it starts off in your vocabulary, it's gone.
Like, after, you don't want to go anywhere because you don't know what's going to happen to you, or what mistakes you might make, or what problems you might cause, like, fall out of the chair, or drop your...
Spill
your food, whatever. And this is giving you confidence to know that you don't have to worry about that anymore.
I think you're even more comfortable with me driving now, dear.
Well, yeah.
The conductive education program, it was fabulous for me and positive. I felt so much better when I was finished.
As the number of people who are served by conductive education continues to grow, Ontario March of Dimes is determined to expand the availability of conductive education in Ontario and throughout Canada.
Our research has found that participants in conductive education have shown significant improvements in their balance, their mobility, and their sense of independence, even 5 to 10 years after traditional therapy has ended.
Conductive education at present isn't fully accepted or recognized as a profession in North America. I trained in England at the University of Wolverhampton. It was the only place I could study outside of Hungary to train as a conductor.
We need more funding for research to document the benefits of conductive education and to determine the best possible service delivery model.
Additional funding would help the conductive education program by providing physically disabled adults an opportunity for the freedom that I have enjoyed. Pieces and parts of my body that I didn't think worked before now have a way of working again. I can lift my legs where I couldn't lift them before. I have more hand control than I had before. I didn't know I had these things. It was the conductor that convinced me that they were still there.